If you're starting a business and you believe in God, in this video, I want to help you rewire the one thing that's going to keep you stuck or that's keeping you stuck longer than you should be. And that one thing is fear. Now, the interesting thing about fear is that we tend to make it extremely logical. Here's what I mean by that. I've built a seven-figure business. And one of the main things that I notice whenever I'm consulting with our clients, these are 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs. The people who are able to build businesses, launch products, bring on staff, fire off ads, create a profit, build their empire is based off of this one key thing, regardless of industry, whether they're male, female, regardless of their walk of life. And that is, these people are able to move in spite of fear. And the fascinating thing about this is that fear wraps itself in logic. And it sounds a little bit like this. Well, I can't launch this new idea because right now I'm in a super busy season. And I don't have enough time, and I got to take the kids to school. And maybe after I leave this job, I'll probably have enough cushion inside of my savings account to really make this happen. Or maybe if I just watched a couple more YouTube videos about how to actually launch this thing. And I hope you caught what I just said. Everything inside of that sounds extremely logical. And it sounds like it is useful, but here's what it is. It's a protection mechanism because you're trying to protect yourself from worst case scenarios. Now, if we were talking about this 3,000 years ago, when we were walking the earth, now I would say with dinosaurs, right? But when we were walking the earth and we didn't have as much technology as we do now to shelter ourselves inside of our homes, when we didn't have maybe the weapons that we have now, when we didn't have the technology that we have to protect ourselves from a saber-toothed tiger, right? Like, let's just blow this thing up. Yes, that generalization would protect you because it was life or death. But here's what ends up happening at the brain circuitry level. Is that we begin to generalize these worst case outcomes because the brain doesn't want to do the work of being specific of, if I launch this product and it fails and it flops, I have data and I can take that data back to the lab and I can make my product better. I can make my service better, or maybe this wasn't even the business that I was supposed to be involved in, but I learned how to run ads through the budget that I set. So now I can take that skill set that I have into this next business venture or into this next partnership that I plan on going into, versus hiding behind that fear that, again, it's wrapped as logic. So at the root, it's hesitation, fear of financial uncertainty, fear of embarrassment, fear of logic. And this fear becomes this trust wrapped in logic, and it's an illusion that says I have to be qualified before I can fully commit or trust God. But that's not how trust or obedience or sacrifice works. If sacrifice doesn't hurt you when you are giving it up, then it's not sacrifice. Really what it is you have an overly abundant amount of, let's say, time that you can give off. And if that thing didn't cost you or hurt you, then it's not sacrifice. At that point, it's like, hey, well, I wasn't going to do anything with this time anyways. Same thing with financial resources. If you are investing into something and you know that, man, I really think that God's placed this idea, this business inside of my heart. But man, these $1,000, man, these $5,000, man, these $15,000, whatever that investment amount is to you, doesn't hurt, then you have to ask yourself, is an actual sacrifice? And if it doesn't cost you your ability to think with it or without yourself, so you're essentially outside of yourself and say, man, I'm investing my time into this business. I'm investing my time into these ideas. I'm bringing on this staff, and I don't know if this thing is going to work. Like I'm capped out with seeing beyond the next 3 months. I'm capped out with seeing beyond this week. I'm capped out with seeing beyond these next 12 months. Then are you actually inviting God and allowing him to do what God does best, which is walk us through uncertain situations because it forces us to lean on him and not on our own understanding. And the fascinating thing that I find about this is that we tend to have these preconceived notions, these precepts, and these pre-built-in caveats on, I'll trust you, God, but up to this dollar amount. I'll trust you, God, but up to this maybe level of pain threshold. I'll trust you, God, but only with maybe these 5 hours. I'll trust you, God, but you got to meet me here. Versus, I trust you, God, even if. I trust you, God, even if I don't have all the resources. I trust you, God, even if I don't know how this thing is going to shape out. I trust you, God, even if I can't see past these next 24 hours. The fascinating thing about when we move through fear is, again, it's wrapped in logic. And so we think that we have to have all these things figured out. So from a biblical standpoint, if you're looking at Moses, Moses was a stutterer. God called him to go into the palace, into a highly sophisticated zone, which obviously he was raised out of, to go speak and command a room and say, hey, let my people go to the Pharaoh. David was anointed by Samuel. And the following day, David went back out to tend to his father's sheep. He was still a boy. He was still a teen. You had Gideon, who was called into battle with just 300 men. Talk about being under-resourced. Talk about not having all the supply that, again, he thought he needed. He was about to go into a war where he was completely outnumbered by people who were smarter than him, stronger than him, more sophisticated, better weapons, better strategy. And God says, I still think you have too much with the 10,000 men after he had stripped them the first time and said, chop it down to even 300. And so what does that mean for us? One of my favorite Bible verses is the following, 2 Corinthians 12:19. 2 Corinthians 12:9. His power is made perfect in my weakness. His power is made perfect in my weakness. So the reframe here is, even though I feel fear and I feel weak, this is an opportunity that I'm going to allow God to come inside of my business, to partner with me on the ideas that I believe he's placed in my heart, and his power is going to show through that weakness. And that is the exchange that has to happen. Notice the dichotomy here. It's not when we feel strong. It's not when everything feels perfect. It's not when we feel we have everything figured out. The exchange must happen when you feel you are at your ends meet. The exchange must happen when you feel like your back is against the wall. The exchange must happen for you to experience God's power in your situation where you have reached essentially your human capacity, your human capability. This is where my skills are at. This is where my financial resources are at. This is where my time, my energy is at. Fantastic. Congratulations. You're now going to experience God's power in a way that you've never experienced it before.